Is it a grid journal or is it a mini-zine? Introducing the Grid-Zine. It's actually both. I'm getting the benefits of a grid journaling with the benefits of a mini-zine. So these are examples of grid journaling. You can use any size, any shape, and you have several sections. I've got rectangles here. I had triangles there. Here's a combination of squares and rectangles. And I've done them on my art journal page. More recently, because I don't like going super small, I've had 4 grids. Now, these are mini zines that I've made in the past. They take one sheet of paper and by some folding, you're going to see that in a bit, you turn this into this mini art journal or magazine, mini zine. So I wondered, can I turn the mini zine into a grid journal? So let's give this a try. So here I'm using an 11 by 17, 11 and a half by 17 piece of paper, and I'm folding it. You fold it in half the other way, and then into quarters. I'm using the bone folder to get a good, nice fold here. And voila. Doesn't this look like a grid? These are the exact size of the 4 panel grid that I've most recently got into. So to prepare this, I am adding a coat of gesso. That's because this is raw paper. The paint's going to soak into it, and it's really flimsy copy paper, and I need a little bit more. So now I'm going to actually draw the grid as I would in the traditional grid journal. And I have a template. Actually, this is what I had used to make 4 grid ones. And I'm just using a pencil and drawing the grid. But you could just leave it with the fold lines being the grid lines if you want it. I just wanted to make it stand out. Now, with grid journaling, you are using the same materials, same techniques, same colors in each section, but setting up for different compositions. So you end up with 8 possibilities, basically using the same thing. So you can set the parameters. I'm going to use this color scheme, or I'm going to use collage papers, or whatever. You move fairly quickly as you do the grid journaling. So you're not overthinking. The idea being instead of focusing on one page and setting up perfect, you are splitting your attention and maybe you're less likely to overthink. So here I had some dictionary paper that I had stamped with a squished toilet paper roll with black paint. Just a simple collage paper, and that's what I'm going to use on this. Lately, I've been wanting to use my collage paper stash, so you've been seeing a lot of videos with it. So each one I'm slightly different. Here, I had a pink envelope that was sitting there, and I thought, you know what? I think that pink looks good with this collage paper that I've already put down, so I'm just ripping it and putting it down, using up things that would otherwise be thrown into the recycle bin. So again, the goal is to have each section look different, give you a different composition. So I arrange it here, and once I'm somewhat happy with it, I'm gluing it down. I recommend trying to work at a quick pace. This is sped up, but the quicker you work, the less likely you're going to overthink. And then you're going to come up with some interesting, aha, oh, I really like this. Something maybe that you wouldn't have otherwise thought of when we get into our overthinking mode. When I'm gluing it down, every time you see me gluing it down, I'm using either gel medium, matte finish, or fluid matte medium. Gluing this all down, and I just have, I call this the rip a strip technique to breaking the page, using your collage papers, ripping them, and that's just going to give you. And I thought, I'm going to add some yellow. Now, honestly, the only thing I knew I was going to use was that first collage paper. The rest was I'm looking around my room and I'm grabbing what I see close at hand, something that I've had out, something that is there. I want to use my stash. So I had these coffee filters, yellow. I must have pulled them for another project. So each one, again, the goal is to set it up differently. I cut a straight edge when it's going at the end of the grid so it doesn't overlap. So the combination of all these coffee filters, deli papers that are yellow/orange. And just like that, I have my color scheme. And once again, I'm just gluing this down. Now, I actually take each of these sections and turn them into art journal pages, which is what I typically like to do with my grid journals, even though that's traditionally not the end goal of them. I wanted to add some stenciling here and a little bit of contrast, so I grab black acrylic paint on my makeup sponge. And this is a stencil that I cut from, I was inspired by the sink liner that I have. I actually stamped with the sink liner and got the pattern and then you cut it with my silhouette. So again, going to add some black stenciling with either of these stencils on each section. And again, I want to get something different on each one, which is going to give me 8 pages, 8 challenges, 8 different looks. And then I can say, oh, I really like this. And then you can do that on purpose, on an art journal page, on a mixed media piece. I'm really enjoying the contrast of the black here against the pink orange. So now I'm adding a little bit of gesso in between to soften the edges and just kind of meld it together. I am adding I'm trying to get that pink, but I realize that it's not quinacridone magenta. It's actually the alizarin crimson that I end up using that gives me that pink when I add a little bit of white gesso to it. So I'm just adding color here. You're following, when you're doing grid journaling, I find you're very intuitive. You go and you do without the thinking and just trust your instincts. So here I'm adding a lot of color. I could have just left it as it was. Part of me thinks I should have because this really, I got a little more color on here than I wanted. You end up where you end up, and then you have to make it work. Grab some stamps. This has some numbers on it, and I am stamping on each of the quadrant, turning the stamp this way and that way, and I'm using acrylic paint, black acrylic paint. Now you can't really tell for the most part that these are numbers, and that's okay. It's grunging it up. I really love what this stamp adds to my backgrounds. And you can see every one of these sections looks different. There's a similarity there. They're the same color scheme, same papers, same stenciling, same shapes, but everyone is different. I think I'm pretty much done with the grid journaling part. So I am edging each with my black acrylic paint just to bring it into perspective and see it. I find once you do that, it gives it a defined shape, and I'm better able to judge what next, if anything. Then I grab my Posca paint marker and I'm just adding doodle lines around it to reinforce the end of it. So you can see this looks just like a grid journal. And in a lot of grid journals, this is where it would end. But I am going to now take this and turn it into a Mini-Zine. So those folds are there. I fold it in half and I cut through those two sections the way you saw me doing it. And I'll link the full-on Mini-Zine videos where I actually teach the process. And then I'm going to make this into a book. Now I know I'm going to take each of these pages and turn them into like mini art journal pages. And I'm going to do something different on each and every one of them. Mini zines, I traditionally pick a theme and go with it, although that's not what I did. I'm flipping it over and gluing with a glue stick, squishing that in place, using my bone folder to make good contact, and just kind of mixing, moving it around to make sure that it is like a book or a mini zine. So here are the grid journaling part, and you can see the variety that's there. So if we were done doing grid journaling, traditionally this is where it ends. But I'm going to take this and now turn the grid journaling into mini zine. I'm liking it in this orientation. I flip through which one is inspiring me more. So I'm thinking I'm going to make this way, and I'm going to start with this one. I'm starting with the ones that give me inspiration. This is a frond stencil that I cut with my silhouette, and I am going to add just black paint. I'm going to stencil with black paint and make a silhouette on here. I'm loving that contrast of the black against those bright colors that I have. Very super simple. And with the stencil, I'm going to layer it up and actually add a second frond here. Now, I did this all in 1 or 2 sittings, but you could do this as a warm-up. Now, every day, go and turn one of these sections into an art journal page. You could just slap on a sentiment, adding a little bit of white here, getting rid of what I don't like, or adding color where I want it. Remember, the grid journaling part got you only so far. Now you're tweaking it. Do some bubble stamping on here. I look up and I have these stickers, circle stickers. I'm not sure why I bought them or how they ended up in my stash, but let's use them. So I'm just sticking them down. The colors seem to match. Then I grabbed my white fine line applicator bottle. This has white acrylic paint that is thinned down so it passes through, and I'm just outlining the fronds, making them stand out. I do come back to this one and add a sentiment later on, but at this time I thought I was done. Moving on to the next page, I grabbed my circle stamp here with white acrylic paint and I stamped some circles. Then I grabbed my circle template. This is from Fiskars, and I have used this so much. I highly recommend having this. And I'm drawing 2 overlapping circles, and I'm going to reactivate the Stabilo all pencil that I traced them with. And that's going to make part of my background, or part of my focal image. It's going to set off my focal image. That's what I mean to say. And add some detailing. This is a technique that I love using. Looking through my bin, I had this giraffe head There's my bin of focal images. That's what I'm going to. I'm limiting myself to whatever's in that bin. So I'm just cutting that to size. And you see how those circles make it pop? And I have that sentiment, and I've got another sentiment bin. Again, I'm using what is already there, using up the stuff. So I'm not going with a theme for this mini zine. I'm just having fun, making what I created during the grid journaling part with this, outlining it with my Sakura glaze pen. Loving that page. It's a fun and funky page. Then I've decided that I am going to add some of this bright aqua to this background. It's a nice color, it's across the color wheel, and it really shows up. So I've stamped again with that circle stamp. So each one of my areas have some elements that are similar. I'm adding a little bit of shading here. This really was a fail. It doesn't really add to the page. And then I'm gluing down this butterfly. I love how the wings of that butterfly mirror the shape of the fronds down below. These two open up together, so I wanted them to work together as well. This sentiment pack is my grateful, thankful, blessed. And these sentiments I've shrunk. They're digital sentiments. I've shrunk and I've printed them out on sticker paper. So now all I have to do is cut, peel, and stick. That's why I love the digital stamps, digital sentiments. And if you're interested in purchasing some digital sentiments, all my sentiment packs are available at NINNYSNAPKINS.com. I'll put the link in the description box below if you're looking for sentiments. Just adding a few details on this page and moving right along. Like I said, we've got 8 pages to do. Some of the stenciling here got pushed back, so I'm putting the stencil back in place and bringing that black stenciling to the forefront. I really like that. I could put the butterfly on there. I can put this teal flower, which matches the teal that I've been using. So again, all those elements I'm still continuing. And I decide, you know what? I'm going to use this. I'm going to glue this down, put this right here. It matches and mirrors the shape of the black stenciling that I did. And I grabbed my drywall mesh, made a square, and I'm going to put this in the center. Again, this is something I look up. It's there. I'm going to use it. I grab my angle brush and some black acrylic paint and I'm shading to just bring out this flower, make it stand out a little bit more. Put some variation. It's looking very flat to me. So I want it to stand out. Then I grab my fine line applicator bottle again with the white. I'm just adding dashes all the way around. Again, I want that flower to stand out. I want to add some interest to it. I could have done straight lines if I wanted, but I went with the dash. That just adds another element. And I add some white in the center of the stenciling. Grab some of the bright aqua paint. I'm trying to thin it down and I'm splattering on both of them. I grab the sentiment. I could put it in the middle. I really like that. And then I changed my mind. Nope, I want it down here. Again, this is one of the sentiments that I shrunk and printed out on sticker paper. Just going around with my Sakura glaze pen. And I think I'm done. Spoiler alert, I'll be back. Now, this one I really don't like. There's a big blob of yellow on here. So I'm thinking, oh, I could add color. I could add collage paper. Well, let's explore some focal image. That one's too small. That one doesn't fit there. Not feeling it. So I'm going through that bin of focal images. That butterfly would work, but I already put one butterfly. This doodle flower, it covers up that background. What I don't like, That's a definite possibility, although it looks maybe a little too big. Here's a doodle flower I got from the digital clip art. That one would work. You know what? This one is so perfect. The colors, it's got the same yellow, it's got this, there's that teal in there, and the pink seems to match. Then I find this piece and I think, oh, I could put that here. So that's what I do. Remember, it's not over till it's over. You can always go and, take it as far as you feel it and let it sit. You'll come up with an idea. I like that much better. It added the contrast and made that teal stand out even better. So let's glue this one down. These colors are a little bit muted. I don't have the best color printer. So I am taking some of that paint and brightening the colors of the flower. Nothing saying you can't. You have to leave it exactly as it is. Then I tweak the color, match the colors that were already there from that pink envelope. Now I'm taking the teal and just adding that same teal color to that, brightening the colors, making everything in this book work together. Thinning down the paint. I think I'm going to splatter here. Cut out the sentiments from the sentiment pack, Short and Sweet, which is a great sentiment pack for postcards, canvases, magnets. You get words and phrases, 1 to 4 words long. Great value for your money. And then I'm just gluing those on. And again, I didn't like that black mark, so that's where I'm going to place the sentiment. What you don't like, you can get rid of or cover up. Then I'm taking my angle brush and I'm just shading around the flower just to make it stand out again. All the finishing is pretty much the same on each one. So I'm hoping that you're getting the idea that even though we had 8 sections, same color, base, same things, we have turned it into 8 different looking pages. We've made it work. Whatever composition's there, whatever we're dealt with, we need to make it work. Here, I'm using the fine line applicator bottle, but I'm doing more scribbling than trying to be so precise. And while I really didn't like this flower to begin with, that's why it sat in my stash for so long, I think the additions that I've made really make it work. So I took my circle punch, 2-inch circle punch, and I found some teal paper. I like the circular motif that yellow had on it. I took another one, punched a 1-inch hole or circle out of it, and then I'm just going to glue those 5 circles down. I was thinking this was going to be more of an abstract art thing. I really wasn't going to have a focal image per se, other than, you know. But once this was here, I looked up and I decided I needed a little butterfly. And I know I used that butterfly earlier, but it just seemed to fit this extra little one. And I like how his wings mirror that stamped image in the back. And you know what? It ties it all. And this is my thing. Try something. Try it out. And grid journaling is great for that. Whether you turn it into a Mini-Zine like me or do it traditionally on an art journal page. Now with this one, I grabbed this line stencil that I recently rediscovered and my teal paint, and I am stamping on the edge, just adding that teal in this way. I'm holding myself to I want to do something different on each page. And while I want each page to kind of work together, same colors, same textures, same patterns, somewhat, I also want to have something different on each page. So here I decided I'm going to put the circle in and I'm going to put the dragonfly on there. So I'm using it somewhat the same as what the first one was, but different. This is a bigger circle, and then the stenciling that I've done, adding it to set off that focal image. I'm just darkening the outside edge and cutting out a sentiment again from my short and sweet sentiment pack. This one was my husband's favorite. He liked the dragonfly one the best. He said it stood right out to him, and I think it has something to do with the teal stenciling that I did on the top and the bottom. At the end, I'm going to show all of them, and you can let me know which one is your favorite. This was a flower, again, in my stash, and I just decided I left this background pretty much as it is, and I just glued the flower down. Again, short and sweet sentiment pack. I do give it to you black print on white background and white print on black background. So you have a lot of options with this, and it comes in different fonts. And I thought, that black is going to look good on here. So I typed or cut out the words reclaim, restore, rebuild. And just fussing around as to where the placement is, because we know we always spend a lot of time moving it 1 millimeter to the left or to the right. Then, while I thought I was done, I grabbed a smaller flower, the same flower, and I painted it Naples yellow. It wasn't quite dark enough, so then I grabbed the yellow oxide, which is a closer match to the color that is in the background, painted it, and once it's dry, I'm just going to offset glue it in the middle. Just add it one more layer. I'm grabbing some of the alizarin crimson and shading this flower. Again, add a little bit more detail to it. Grab the fine line applicator. This time it's black paint, and I'm just going around it to bring out that center part of the flower. Just enhance the focal image, especially the center part. And going around the sentiments here. It can stand like this as a booklet. So if you gift this to somebody, and let's look through. There's the cover. You have to be odd to be number one. Find joy in the ordinary. The secret to having it all is realizing you already do. Expect nothing, appreciate everything. Just start. Escape. And reclaim, restore, rebuild. Let me know which is your favorite. I hope you give this a try. Until next time, go get creative.